All right, welcome back. This video, this message, we're talking about how to stay out of the grasp of narcissists, meaning how to make yourself a harder target for narcissists or a less desirable target for narcissists. And one of the things we always talk about boundaries, having the right boundaries in place, right? Really knowing yourself, really being grounded in yourself and who you are. You have to know that that's most important to not allowing the tactics and the advances of narcissists to impose their will on you. Right? So one of the biggest things is that we look in a sense where narcissists are usually targeting people who they feel are, sometimes they admire, right? It's not always they think you're a victim. Sometimes they could admire you. Sometimes they see that you're easy pickings. It just varies. Okay, there's not a one script fit all for all of these situations. So you have to be aware of that. But in many cases, it's the person that becomes in awe with what the narcissist is doing, right? If you're an audience to them, then they will gladly entertain you, right? Based on the way you are responding, based off what you give back to them. And they're looking for these things. They're looking for, your emotional feedback, your excitability to what's going on and so forth with them. So in these instances where a lot of you end up trusting narcissists and so forth, you're doing it under the pretenses, under the assumption that the person means well for you. Which with a narcissist, these are always double-edged sword. They're double-sided. They're dual meanings. There's duality to the whole operation of a narcissist. Nothing is ever at face value. Nothing is ever a genuine move for the narcissist. Everything that a narcissist does is calculated, planned, and schemed out fairly well, right? Narcissists are never going to be direct people, although they will make themselves seem as though they're direct. They won't come at you. They're more indirect, right? So they have decoy tactics to basically shift the focal point of the target onto one thing that they want them to believe and perceive of them. But then again, they go around behind them and, are laying traps for that person. So the biggest key is whenever you see certain advances, like I said, the two key major components that narcissists get in with is playing the victim, right? They can simultaneously use both of them. They can come off as a victim to, number one, neutralize your suspicion of them, and then present themselves as a do-gooder as well, right? So this is to totally throw your perception off, because people have monstrosized and demonized just how narcissists are and how they come, like they come out, they're just wicked, evil right away. No, that's not what happens. That's not what happens. And so we have to understand, and pardon that, sorry about that. We have to understand that there's never going to be any genuine type of point to a narcissist. So what are we looking for? Well, what I pick up on, and from my experience, is it's a sort of awkwardness. It's hard to explain or convey to you, but it's an awkward type of way that they move and how they speak and what they talk about. It's, if you know, you know, it's just off. There's something off about them that you pick up on. It's something that doesn't register with how a normal person would respond and react. When you get used to seeing how certain people who have been through things, who've been victimized, that were truly victims, how they act and how they respond. And I've seen it over the years. I've seen enough of this to know real victims versus those who are, you know, perpetrators, right? Or who have other serious issues going on with themselves, respectively. But these are the things I pick up on in how the interactions are, right? And if you're really keen to it, if you know the difference between how normal people act and respond, that's the most critical thing, versus how people who are abnormal are responding to typical things, which would render a universal response, a universal type behavior. When it's outside of that universal paradigm, that universal pattern, that's your first red flag to say, something's off about this. Something's off. This is not going in the way where someone who is operating out of a normal capacity would act and function in. Right? So, real victims are going to be, in a lot of ways, more cautious, less. They're going to be less of the aggressors, so forth. They're going to be more apt to be, I would say, in a sense, to where they're going to be kind of disengaged from a lot of things. Like, you're going to just see things operate differently about them. And so if you're the viewer, if you're the person who is trying to figure out whether or not you're dealing with someone who is a genuine type of person, genuine victim or whatnot, these are things to look for and look at, right? Just the way that they speak. This is another critical thing. Like, there's a way that they speak, what they talk about, how they talk about things, the repetitiveness of things. This gets really deep and complicated, a lot too much to really go into within the small frame of time that I allow for these videos. But again, if you know, you know. If you really homed in on it, then you know. And I think that, and I've said this a lot of times before, that there were going to become a, fake victims were going to become pervasive, right? And a lot of times, within now, even on YouTube, what you're seeing is so many people coming out the woodworks as prior victims or something like that. And it just has to be questioned, by doing this for so long, like I said, I can tell in how they speak, what they speak about, their behavior. There's certain behaviors that's kind of inappropriate. There's certain conversations that are basically circulatory, that go in circles. Some of it is psychobabble, which doesn't always have to look like a crazy out of this mind person, but you have to be able to pick up the intricate parts of psychobabble within a conversation of someone speaking, right? Is it consistent with the universal response and logic of a normal person? This is what you have to be able to get good at recognizing. And if you see it and it's off, it's usually foretelling to other things. Not to say that the person is necessarily narcissistic or a narcissist or some sort of mental disordered capacity, but it's going to give you that reference point to be able to put your focus to, activate your antennas, sound the alarm to let you know that, hey, something's off about this. Right. And you have to be able to back out of the experience for a certain amount of time, to where you're the observer, not only just participating, but you're observing yourself and everything else around with that. You're not just so engaged into the situation or the individual that it throws your mind off from the cues that are being given to you. So when you're interacting with people, these are just the basic things you're looking for, right? We can have stuff where you may deal with someone who has went through some post-traumatic stuff, but there's a difference between people who are in a post-traumatic type of state versus someone who is narcissistic or a narcissist perpetrating being the victim. There's going to be a difference in how to pick up on that, right? And my biggest thing is to not rush into anything. Stand your ground. Make your boundaries known right away. This is going to be key, critical in the defense of pushing or luring away the narcissist and redirecting them away from you onto something else or somewhere else. Right? Everything is about how much you are going along with the program for a narcissist to get you to capitulate. So yeah, I think this is, again, it's a little bit, maybe I'll have to make a short course or something on these things with like video representation from stuff that I've seen, and to give this to you, because it's difficult to explain, but you can pick up on by like certain behaviors, again, like I said, that may be inappropriate for a normal person to engage in, right? A normal person recognizes their behaviors that may not be acceptable or inappropriate before they do it. Versus narcissists, they don't really see that because they're so locked into the program of how they operate. They don't get it. They're just operating off the same repetitive programming, which causes them to repeat the same cycle over and over again. And the behaviors and ways that they go about, they don't see. They may be able to express things that they know is not right. And this is what throws a lot of you off. They can express like stuff that they know that's perhaps not right, or at the time they'll say, oh, it's not right, or I shouldn't have did this, or I shouldn't have did that, but yet it keeps happening, right? Those behaviors that are very much in line with narcissistic behaviors keep presenting themselves, even though they express and say they're aware of it. Well, we know the old saying and what's been stated, If you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, that's a definition of insanity, which narcissists are in that spectrum of being insane. So it's subtle things. These are very subtle things to pick up on, which can easily be overlooked, right? And I'll tell you why, because most of these subtle tactics come and are deeply embedded within covert narcissists. These are A1 tactics from the covert narcissists that they've mastered. They know what to mask, what to not show or what not, that would be blatantly obvious. Right? But you have to pay attention to the subtle intricacies of how they operate and behave. And most importantly, you have to know the basis of what normal is. Because that's going to be your reference point to keep you out of the grasp of being caught up in a narcissist or a narcissistic situation. Anyway, I'll probably have to do something more in depth to really give a greater illustration, because it's just stuff you have to see. So I'll probably have to put something together to give you all the visual component of this, of what I'm talking about. Anyway, I hope this helps. We'll continue at some point. And if it's even something you all are interested in, just leave a leave something in the comments. Make sure to hit the like. Make sure to share. Hit that share and subscribe also as well. Any way to get a hold of me is in the description box. And until next time, have a good one.